Welcome back to the CryptoWorld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now the price of Bitcoin is getting a perfect bounce from this important moving average, which gives us bullish and bearish signals. So in just a moment, I'll be talking about that as well as multiple other important Bitcoin and Ethereum charts later in this video, so definitely stick around. First of all, just giving you a quick update on what the US stock market did today. This right here is the Nasdaq 100 index, and as you can see, the stock market is still moving forward with this short-term bullish momentum after we saw a successful breakout from this bullish ascending triangle pattern just a couple days ago. And obviously, for those of you who have been watching my daily update videos over the past 2 weeks or so, this bullish price action shouldn't really be that surprising, because what I've been saying in almost every video that I've posted over the past 1 to 2 weeks now is the fact that right now actually looks extremely similar to what we saw in the first quarter of this year. And obviously, if you're looking at the first quarter of this year in the Nasdaq 100 index, overall during that time period, we were somewhat neutral, if not slightly more bullish than bearish, especially later in the quarter. But obviously, that still occurred within a larger downtrend, which is essentially what we're seeing at the moment. We're seeing a bit more of a bullish time period, still technically within a larger downtrend. We haven't actually confirmed a break of that larger downtrend as of recording this video. And obviously, it's not only the charts that tell us if we're going to see more bullish or bearish price action, because there's multiple macroeconomic factors such as what the Fed is doing and what CPI inflation is doing that can strongly affect markets. But once again, as I've been mentioning almost every day now over the past 1 to 2 weeks, based on commodity prices like crude oil coming back down over the past 1 month approximately, the early expectations for the inflation data that we get next month, the CPI data, those early expectations are already starting to look pretty good, at least compared to the previous data that we got. And not only that, but we don't actually have a Fed meeting next month. There is no Fed meeting in August, which means in the somewhat shorter term relative to the daily time frame, we could continue to see somewhat bullish trending price action for potentially the next 1 month or so. Now, obviously, even though price action might be trending bullish in the somewhat shorter term, we're still within the larger bearish trend. And also keep in mind, we can see immediate short-term pullbacks as well. And also keep in mind, even though we don't have a Fed meeting next month, we do have a Fed meeting coming up in around a week from now. And the outcome of that next Fed meeting that we have in roughly around a week from now is due to be either a 75 basis point hike or a 100 basis point hike. And as we get closer and closer to that Fed meeting, I'll be sure to cover what the market is actually pricing in as the most likely outcome. So definitely make sure you scroll down and double check that you're subscribed with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important videos in the future. But anyway, getting into the Bitcoin part of this video, this right here is the daily Bitcoin chart. And obviously the Bitcoin price is still trading above this previous horizontal level of resistance, which is sitting at roughly around 22,000. So of course, that is bullish progress in the shorter term here. And as of right now, the daily Bitcoin RSI is still in a fairly strong uptrend. This has not been broken. And considering the fact that the daily Bitcoin RSI is well into the top half of the RSI indicator, this is yet another similarity between the first quarter of this year and what we're seeing at the moment. But it is very important for the Bitcoin price to remain above around $22,000 per Bitcoin, because if we start breaking well below 22K, then obviously that is a short-term bearish signal, but that could also be a larger bearish signal here on the daily chart, because if you're looking back at the end of the first quarter of this year, so early April, the Bitcoin price, after breaking above this previous horizontal level of resistance, broke back below that level of resistance, and that there was the beginning of a larger move to the downside. And obviously we saw something similar during May and early June. But out of these 3 price ranges, looking at the first quarter of this year, May and June, and what we're seeing at the moment, technically speaking, what we're seeing at the moment is most similar to what we saw in the first quarter of this year, which is why it is important to keep an eye on that horizontal level of resistance coming in at around 22K once again. And just zooming into the 12-hour Bitcoin chart, we can see we still have a technical price target at around 25K per Bitcoin, where there should be a decent amount of resistance, because this 25K level is not only based on this technical price target for this previous ascending triangle pattern, it is also based on the golden ratio. If we bring out the Fibonacci levels, we have the 1618 Fibonacci extension coming into play at around $25,000 per Bitcoin. And not only that, but 25K was also massive support back in May. And usually when we break below massive support, that usually flips into new resistance. So I would be expecting quite a bit of resistance at roughly around $25,000 per Bitcoin. And so far, as of recording this video, the Bitcoin price has made it pretty close to that level of resistance, around $700 off. And if you're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, right now the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI is still chopping around in the top half of the RSI indicator, which is technically a sign of strength in terms of the short-term trend here for Bitcoin. So for as long as the RSI remains above 50 and doesn't start dropping below that level, then this is still looking pretty good, unless of course we start entering into overbought territories. Then we are in that case due for a bit of a short-term pullback. But for the most part, the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI, as of recording this video, is still technically more bullish than bearish at the moment. And if you're looking at the 4-hour Bitcoin MACD, right now, technically speaking, we have a small amount of bearish momentum because the histogram, for example, is sitting in the red. But in order to prevent further bearish momentum from growing into a further downtrend in the short-term Bitcoin price action, the Bitcoin price needs to hold above this moving average, which is the 5-day simple moving average. And right now, this is coming into play at around 22.4K. And if you're looking at all of this price action that we've seen over the past 1 month or so here in the short term, this 5-day simple moving average has already proven by backtesting to be a very accurate short-term bullish indicator and short-term bearish indicator. Basically, if the price starts breaking above this moving average, and more importantly, if we confirm new support, then that there is a short-term bullish signal and we're due to see a bit more of a Bitcoin pump. And then the moment we break back below it, and more importantly, if we flip it into new resistance, that is a short-term bearish signal telling us that we're due to see more of a Bitcoin dump. And in fact, within the last 1 month, these signals have been 100% accurate. Of course, if you entered a long right here at around 20.1K and then closed that long and entered into a short at around 21,000, that there was a profitable move. And then shorting from 21K down towards around 19.4K, which is where we broke back above this moving average, that there would have been a profitable trade. And then entering into a short-term long position the moment we broke above this moving average and flipped this into new support, that there was once again another short-term bullish signal. And if you longed all the way to the break to the downside again, that was a profitable trade. And then if you entered into a short position at this next break to the downside, that there was a profitable trade up to the next break to the upside, where if you entered a long there, of course, that was another profitable trade. And so far over the past 1 week or so, we've actually seen multiple bounces from this exact moving average, this 5-day simple moving average. So this is why I'm currently paying close attention to this moving average and this level coming in at around 22.4K, which is where the 5-day MA is currently coming into play. Because obviously, based on everything that we've seen over the past 1 month or so, if we break below around 22.4K with confirmation such as a 4-hour candle close, or even better, if we see some sort of retest actually flipping this moving average into new resistance again, then something like that would obviously be strong bearish confirmation in the short term, telling us that we're due to see a lot more bearish price action just in the short term at least. But obviously at the time of recording this video, we haven't yet seen that bearish confirmation. So right now, technically speaking, we're looking slightly more bullish than bearish as of right now. And now heading into the Ethereum part of this video, this right here is the daily Ethereum chart, and we still have this 38.2% Fibonacci level of resistance sitting at around 1.7K, which was also previous support. And if you're looking at the daily Ethereum RSI, obviously we're still in an uptrend, which is technically more bullish than bearish, but keep in mind the RSI on the daily time frame for Ethereum is very close to overbought territories. And if we start entering into overbought territories, of course, that is a shorter term bearish indication telling us that the market is a little bit too overheated right now. And the last time the daily Ethereum RSI entered into overbought territories, that was right at the end of March, entering into early April, which was a bearish signal telling us that we've reached some sort of local top. So this is why I mentioned in my last video that I posted yesterday on the channel that it would actually be much healthier for Ethereum to play out a little bit of a short-term cool-off here, whether that's a sideways consolidation or a bit more of a short-term pullback, because in that scenario, that would actually be healthier for a continued uptrend of some sorts. Because otherwise, if we just continue going up like what we've seen over the past 1 week, then very soon this trend will burn out as the RSI on the daily time frame reaches overbought territory. So those are the sort of things that I'm keeping an eye out for. And if you zoom into the 12-hour Ethereum chart, it's a very similar story on this time frame as well. As you can see, we still have that strong resistance at around $1,700 per Ethereum, and we're seeing a lot of sideways consolidation just below that resistance, which is actually exactly what we need to see before expecting any sort of breakout to the upside, because if we immediately saw a breakout to the upside without seeing any sort of consolidation or short-term cool-off, then in that scenario, it would be very unlikely that the breakout would be a successful one. So as I mentioned in my last video, once again, at the current price levels, we do have elevated risk for the buyers up here, considering the price is just below significant resistance and the RSI on the 12-hour chart and the daily chart is very close to overbought territories, telling us that we're due to see a bit more of a cool-off here. But technically speaking, even though we could be due for a bit of a pause in this short-term uptrend, the short-term uptrend might not be over, it might just be paused at the moment, because technically speaking, we have not actually broken the uptrend in both the RSI and the price action in these shorter-term time periods. Now, obviously, once again, we are still within a larger downtrend, there's no denying that, but this is all talking about the somewhat shorter term here. Technically, in this shorter term time period, we're still looking slightly more bullish than bearish in terms of the trend. It's just within this trend, we're due to see a bit of a cool off. And if you zoom into the 4-hour Ethereum chart, taking a look at the 5-day simple moving average, this has also been very accurate for Ethereum as well as Bitcoin. And right now, this moving average is currently coming into play at around 1,480 to 1,490, so just below 1.5k. And once again, if we confirm a break below this moving average, that will be a short-term bearish indication, telling us that potentially for the next few days, we could be due for some more bearish price action like these previous examples back here. But at the time of recording this video, we have seen a successful bounce recently from this exact moving average, which is technically a good sign in the shorter term. But keep in mind, we are also still seeing that bearish divergence play out that I spoke about yesterday, with the higher highs in the 4-hour Ethereum price action in terms of the candle closes, and the lower highs in the 4-hour Ethereum RSI. So once again, that is a bearish divergence, telling us that we're losing that short-term bullish momentum that we've seen over the past 1 week or so, which is why we're due to see a bit more of a cool-off here for Ethereum. And another reason why around 1480 is strong support for Ethereum is also based on this golden ratio, the 1618 Fibonacci level. And this level, as I've been talking about over the past couple of days, is coming into play at around 1470 to 1480, providing short-term support. And if you want to maximize the amount of money that you're making in the crypto market by taking advantage of these short-term bullish and bearish moves, then make sure to check out one of these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to take advantage of those bullish and bearish moves, and the video in the bottom left shows you how to take advantage of a choppy sideways price range. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video.